drawing isn't actually hard. You've just been taught how to draw really hard stuff before drawing easy stuff. And today we're going to tackle the very first thing that I'm told as the reason that you are not able to draw, and that's a stick figure.
Sparkle sound.
So we're going to draw a stick figure, and I'm going to show you how to go from just a stick figure all the way up to a character in just a couple of easy steps, and let's see if I can blow your mind. Let's go. This is how generally a new artist draws a stick figure. They have a pretty long torso, the arms are right in the middle, and then it has some fairly long legs. So you probably could spot that the neck of a human is not usually that long. So we're just gonna change the proportions of our stick figure to match regular proportions a little bit more. So we can still put the torso first, but it's gonna be a little shorter. The arms are gonna come by the neck, go just a little bit past the torso there. And then the legs are generally longer than your torso, so they'll come down like this. And then these are your stick figure proportions I would like to have you draw with. I genuinely don't care if you have a huge head, like that, or even if these are not quite the right size, because that can all fall within kind of a cartoony style. But let's just make sure that those arms are not in the center and that we get just a tiny bit longer legs, okay? All right, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna practice drawing stick figures like this. And I'm gonna use the website Line of Action to give me some poses.
All right, there's no wrong way to start, but I often will put the head down first just to position where everything goes, and then sort of draw the spine so that I know the overall shape that I'm going to do. It's totally okay to exaggerate and make it more dramatic than you actually see in real life. The other way to start is with a line of action. So in that last pose, it was a big arch like that, but with him, it's really up and down. I just want to note that these are imperfect drawings, and I want to encourage you to make imperfect drawings too. The reason why I have the time set on these poses kind of short is because I'm trying to not be perfect. This stage of drawing figures should be more explorative. So it's okay to make mistakes and not get the pose right. And it's more about drawing a lot of poses and continuing to practice than perfection.
I personally hate when figure drawing people use poses like this because there's so much overlap, and I don't think I would draw a character like this, but I guess it's good practice. Once you've practiced drawing stick figures like this, you're gonna level yourself up to the next stage by taking this guy here and using a box for the chest. So instead of a line down the middle, we're gonna do a little rectangle shape. The legs are gonna come off the edge like that and like that. And the arms are gonna come off the corner. So these are your shoulders and these are your hips. And we're gonna draw something like that. Now, I had some questions the last time I did a video like this about what about people with different body proportions. So you can do someone, you can just change the shape of your box. So like you could have somebody that's like really slender with a more narrow box. You could have someone who is more wide with just a wider box. You could have like an hourglass shape if you wanted instead of the box. But these I think are a little bit more advanced. Or you could make someone like have really prominent shoulders by using an upside down sort of inverted shape like this, little Superman type thing. So those are how you would do sort of different body shapes and proportions if you wanted to at this sort of square shape. Okay, so now let's draw with our rectangle guy. So again, we'll do this sort of circle. We got a little bit of that going on, and so I would just make this into a box. Boom, boom, like that.
If you're wondering if it's necessary to do sound effects, I do highly recommend them. They definitely help me get that like pow pow into my pose, okay? All right, one little tip I'm using right here is I drew a line and I didn't quite like it, so I drew another line after, but I made the second line much thicker, and so it pops out in front more. And so if you ever have like a little mistake, even when drawing with a Sharpie, which is pretty unforgiving, if you make the line in front thicker, it'll pop out and appear to be in the front. And then this is a great example of like you can have your box twist like this as you get more advanced. So one of the things that you can do with the box is have one of the shoulders come up and one of the hips come up like this. And what happens when that happens is that this side will always squishy like that, and this side will always stretch. And usually that means that the weight is on this guy here, and the weight of the person is not. So maybe this leg is bent or out, and the person has all their weight right here. Maybe something like that. If you're doing this from the side, sort of like I did in this one, you can do that too. So maybe the back is arching. And that's how we would do the side. I'm going to show you how I'd finally turn it into a character. I'm going to do this on my tablet because it's what I'm most used to. But you could do this with a pencil. Just with Sharpie was a little too tricky for me because I can't erase Sharpie, and I want to make sure that you can still see it on screen. So let's say I have this right here of this little stick figure guy that I drew. Okay, and I want to turn it into a character. I will just put this layer, opacity down. Do what I say when I tell you to. Basically, so I have the outline here of one arm. I just have to add the second part of that arm there. So here's his other arm, basically what I drew before. And now that's the other part. And I'm just gonna use the base that I just drew of the stick figure to flesh out my character. So this line I already drew. I'm gonna draw over it. And I might make some adjustments at this point. And you can just add in clothes here, for example. And if you want a less round face, you can give them a little chin. And personal fave, get that little bit of brush. It is weird. I'm drawing sideways, you guys. Okay. And now you've turned your little stick figure into a character. Yay! Another example. So let's say we had that curvy girl one. I know these are all sassy, but these are like my go-to poses. Okay, guys. Okay. And then we can always use this base and draw like over it, like draw the clothes over it. So even though I didn't draw clothes initially, I can just add them in now and then erase what's underneath there, and you would never know. It's our secret. Okay. Ta-da! And that's how I make characters from a stick figure. So I probably should have just edited this part out, but I just thought it was funny because part of my creative process is thinking that I'm done about 17 times and then continuing to draw anyway until I finally just throw my pen on the ground and walk away. So I think I celebrated multiple times that I had finished. I wasn't finished. But for this last part, all I'm doing is just adding a little bit of extra little details like buttons or seams on the shirt. And I think these little extra little details really add a little bit of personality and enhance the character here. And I don't know, I really just wanted to color in her hair as well. So there we go. That's the full process of trying to stick figure into a character.
If that was still too hard, please let me know in the comments below, because if so, I can teach you how to draw lines and circles. And I even have a mini free workbook for pencil exercises so that your hand does what you told it to on my website at carlianne.com. And I'll see you next time. Bye. Welcome to today's installment.